right, it's time to start editing some code. And the first thing we're going to do is fire up our text editor. And once we've got the text editor running, we can start writing HTML. So let's go in there now. So I've started my Sublime text editor in this case. And remember, you can use other ones such as Notepad++ or Text Wrangler. And so I'll go into the File menu and create a new file. And let's have a quick look at what's on the screen here. So we've got this number 1 here. That's telling me which line of the file I'm on. So you see if I add extra lines in the file, it increases. So that's not really part of the document, that's just part of the interface telling me about what I'm editing. And then I've got this thing here which is a tab, so I can have lots of files open at the same time. The same way you can have with a web browser, you can have lots of tabs with different files open at the same time. So let's write our first HTML tag. I'm going to start with the H1 tag. So I've got an open angle bracket there, and then I type H1, and then I close it. So that's the open. So that starts an HTML tag, and then you put the name of the tag, and then you finish it like that. And then we put the contents of the tag. And so I'm going to set this to this is my first web page. And then once you've finished writing what's going in the tag, you can then end the tag. End. So we have the angle bracket again, then this /, which means end of H1. So we can interpret this as start H1, contents of H1, end H1. And let's save that. So I'll do File and Save. And I've got a folder ready here, and I'm going to call it index.html. So remember that Kate was saying that HTML files normally end with an HTML extension or a .htm extension, and you'll need to make sure that you've configured your operating system to show you your file extensions. So for example, in Windows you'll have to edit your settings in your Explorer. I think in Linux it probably shows them by default, and also on a Mac. So we're saving it as index.html, which means it's the first page in the website. Okay, so I save that, and then I go into my file browser, which is here, and I browse to where that file is saved, and I right click on the file, and now I get to choose how I open it. So I've already got it open in Sublime Text, so I'm not going to edit it there. I actually want to view it in my web browser, so here it is. Here's my web browser, Google Chrome. So that's opened it, and that's my first web page, and you can see that the font it's used is quite large and bold. I mean, I can zoom in just to make it really clear. So that's large and bold, and if I just put some text in here without any HTML, this is outside of a tag. Okay, and save that. So File, Save, or once you get into editing this stuff, you're going to have to learn the keyboard shortcuts. So in this case, I do Control and S to save it, and then I go back over to my web browser, and if I want to see what the new file looks like, I have to hit this little reload button here. And you see, again, there's a keyboard shortcut for reloading, which is Control and R. So what you'll end up doing is doing your edits in your file, doing Control S, then popping over to the web browser, then doing Control R to reload the page. Right, so let's look in this web browser. So we've got this big, large font here, and then we've got this kind of much smaller text here. And so what's happened is the web browser has seen this H1 tag, and instead of just displaying an H1 tag, it's actually decided, oh right, I'm going to now display this text with a special formatting, because H1 actually means main heading. So the web browser knows, oh, main heading needs to be big and large and bold. So it's choosing to add that formatting to that display. And that's one of the sort of things to know about HTML, is that we just say what the different parts of the document mean. So we're saying this bit of the document is the heading, and we can define another bit of the document as being content or whatever. And the browser then interprets that structure that we give it, and it chooses how to format it. When we get into the next module and we look at CSS, we'll find out how we can actually tell the browser, don't use this formatting, use a different formatting, so we can control the way it displays the page. But for now, we're just letting the browser make decisions for us about how it should display an H1 or how it should display the other tags. So let's add some more tags and see what they do. That's our H1 tag, and we can normally you put your paragraphs of text in a P tag, and you can see what I'm doing is I'm kind of creating a structure here. So I actually I indent that slightly so it's easier to read. So that the first paragraph, the second paragraph, and while we're at it, we'll do one more type of heading tag, which is called H2. This is the second heading, or we could call it the subtitle, right? So Control S, back over to the web browser, Control R, and right. So let's just have a quick look at that. So we created an H1 tag for the main heading. That's the largest text we can see there, and then we created an H2 tag for the subheading, and that's slightly smaller but still bold. And then we put 2 paragraphs in, and that's it. So we've created our first example of a very simple web page. And so as we go through this module, we're going to find out about more types of tags that we can use.